Hi everybody. So this is a Kenmore refrigerator, and it has a problem where it's not getting cold and it's not staying cold. And I'm pretty sure the problem has to do with a plugged up capillary tube leading up to the evaporator. So if we look here, this is a top freezer unit, and of course the evaporator is located inside the freezer. It's located behind this access panel. So this access panel is usually situated right here, but there's two screws, one there and one there. Take out, and you can just pop this forward. Come on. It's got the fan built into the cover, so just kind of set this over to the side. And with this evaporator here, refrigerant is coming into the unit through this little capillary tube from the compressor down in the back. And if we look at the capillary tube, you can see it's got a copper portion and then a frosted portion. And the frosted portion is the cold area, and the copper portion is the warm area. So that's indicating where the restriction is in the capillary tube. Now there should be no restriction in the capillary tube. Refrigerant should be able to flow freely through that capillary tube until it hooks up with the larger tube, and that's where it would expand and start to get cold. So when we look at this and we see frost along that capillary tube, it means that somewhere in the tube in this section there's a restriction. And so right at the restriction, when the refrigerant goes past the restriction, it's evaporating, and when it evaporates, it's when it gets cold. So that's why we see all this frost building up on the line. That's because of how cold it got. So on this other part back here, use my other hand, it's not wet. It's cool to the touch, but it's not cold as compared to this, which is very, very cold. So then if we look at the evaporator coil itself, we have a frosted line, comes down, comes into the evaporator, and then as the evaporator coil, let's move this, as the coil wraps back and forth as it snakes its way through the system, or as it snakes through the heat exchanger, you can see the frost goes to about here somewhere and then it stops. So if I touch this top part, it's warm. All these coils up top, they're as warm as the refrigerator case is. But this bottom one obviously is cold. This one right here is just starting to get cold. And then, this one here is warm, warm, warm. So basically the problem is that refrigerant can't flow through the system. It's being restricted right here. It's backing up. So that's why it's not able to flow. And when it can't flow, then the refrigerant can't flow through the evaporator, and the evaporator can't get cold. And so your freezer never gets cold. So sometimes if you come to these, you see the restriction, you can actually dislodge it just by smacking on the capillary tube, and whatever is in there, whatever debris or dirt, sometimes you can just knock it loose. And when you do get it knocked loose, you'll start to see the whole line will warm up. And my flashlight just turned off, but if I did this right, this whole copper line will stay frost free, because the warmer refrigerant coming in will keep it warm. And then in this part, this expansion chamber, this is where it will stay frosted. So it doesn't always work, and it also doesn't always stay. Sometimes you can dislodge whatever was clogging the tube and it'll work for a little while. But then as that debris makes its way through the evaporator and then back down to the compressor and then comes back, goes through the condenser and then back up here through the capillary tube, it just clogs up again, and then you lose refrigerant flow, and therefore you lose cooling through the evaporator. And and I don't think that did anything because the frost is kind of gone, and I still feel ice on that line. Yeah, this just not, it's not flowing refrigerant. And I think it's like I said, like I was showing you earlier with that line being partially frosted. It's because there's a restriction in this capillary tube. So, yeah, this thing's just warm as it can be. So yeah, I mean, you know, you can buy rolls of capillary tube. You could shut the system down. You could extract the refrigerant out of the system and then unsolder the connections, remove the capillary tube and install new capillary tube. You know, but once these systems get this old, this refrigerator, if we look down here at the manufacturer's label, I think this says it was made in 09. Yeah, right there, it says April of 09. And right now it's July of 25. So this thing's been, you know, 09, it's, what is it? 1925, so 16 years old. You know, they don't last forever. So the compressors wear out, debris flows through the system, and it just clogs it up. So, you know, even if you took it apart, there's no guarantee that whatever refrigerant and oil mixture that's traveling through the system won't come right back up here and clog it again. Actually, I think I feel, yeah, frost is reforming on this line. So there's definitely a restriction in that cap tube. That's what's causing the problem there. Trying to see how far back up it goes. But yeah, that's what it is. So anyway, yeah, there you have it. A quick look at how a refrigerant, you know, what happens when you have a refrigerant restriction in your liquid line or your capillary tube going to the evaporator and causing a poor, low, or no cooling situation in a refrigerator, top freezer refrigerator. So pretty cool. You know, while we have this unit out here, let's take a look, see what the back of it looks like. It's got an external condenser mounted here on the back of the fridge. And down here, this is the compressor. It's the compressor model. A little better view of that. Here's the model number of the compressor. Little electric connectors. Other parts down here. A drip tray. So, manufacturing date and time. So, yeah, pretty interesting, pretty cool. Well, there you have it. This thing is going to be sent off for recycling, so time to get a new fridge. Yeah, you know what? Now it's been a couple minutes. You can see that frost building right back up again. That cap tube definitely has a restriction. That thing could even be clogged. This cap tube could even be clogged pretty far up. This whole thing could be very clogged right there. And that's what's causing that frost buildup, so yeah. Anyway, if you have any questions or any comments, post them below. And thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please give a thumbs up and please subscribe.